Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the video. Today I'm going to be doing a season 2 retrospective for young Sheldon. Let's go. Sorry, it was supposed to come out last week, but I was too busy and a bit too lazy. So yeah, let's not waste any time and let's get into this. Okay, so season 2, episode 1 of Young Sheldon. Okay, this one was actually one of the most fun ones. Just kind of one of those fun episodes. I think the only problem with this episode is how Sheldon was kind of like happy to be a newspaper delivery guy. Like, really, is that really in his character? Was he really just going to willingly just ride a bike and everything and go on and deliver newspapers? Get up at like that or an hour early in the morning, just to earn that back some money. In my opinion, it's not really Sheldon's character, but if you overlook that, it's actually a pretty good episode. Actually, I think this was a good opening to the season. I like the song that plays and how badly Sheldon is actually like delivering the newspapers and stuff, and yeah. And so Mary was so protective of him in this episode. She literally stayed awake all night to watch him. That sounds creepy, but whatever. She is his mother. She was literally following him in his car the whole time. Her car. And of course, I have to comment at the end of the episodes. We have one of those classic George and Sheldon talks. I always love them in the show. They are always actually pretty good. I just have to say this is a strange one, considering that afterwards, the adult Sheldon says that he never bothered any of his friends or roommates again about his emotional status or whatever the hell he was saying. And that is obviously false. He continued to be an annoying turd when he grew up. But whatever, it's played for laughs. This is a pretty good episode, and yeah, it is kind of fun to see Sheldon be pretty rude in class as well. And I feel like the scene at dinner when Sheldon just says "Who cares" to the rest of his family. I feel like that's kind of relatable. Like seriously, what they were talking about was so bloody boring. Like, shut up, guys. It's okay, guys. I can say it. They can hear me. They can't hear me. Oh no. So season 2, episode 2. This introduces a few new characters to this show. We have Paige, we have Paige's parents, and we have Paige's sister. Oh my god, wow, what coincidence that 4 new characters were introduced in the same episode. Who am I kidding? Yeah, Paige's sister Erica never actually returns in this show, which is, I feel like it's like something that, doesn't really matter. I mean, Bobby Sparks and Billy's sister should have returned to the show, and, probably, I mean, it would have made more sense, especially, like, in season 4, but, like, in Erica's case, like, what's she gonna do? Why would she come? I don't even know why she went with the parents. Like, couldn't she just stayed at home? She's old enough to stay at home. Yeah, I mean, whatever. She's just there to make out with Georgie. Yeah, and let's talk about that scene. Does that usually happen? I don't think so. What is that? Like, I don't understand that. They did it for fun, guys. I do like the talk that Sheldon and Paige have. It's kind of I think they were probably planning for something to happen to Paige with her parents obviously getting divorced. It was set up from the very beginning because in this episode, because they have a little bit of an argument. I mean, every parents have arguments, but you know what I mean. It was set up from the very beginning, so this conversation kind of you can kind of look back on it later on in the series and think, hey, yeah, I mean, they were setting up something. Because of course, eventually Paige decides that she doesn't want to be smart anymore, and you can it's kind of weird looking back at this scene now. But yeah, it was cool to see Sheldon have I guess like a female version of himself, when not really when Paige is just smart and none of the quirkiness that Sheldon has. And just when Sheldon decides that he likes Paige, he flips the chessboard because Paige won the chess game. Yeah, I like the ending with Dr. Sturgis, and I'm trying to, not focus as much on Paige as on Sheldon. That was funny. And yeah, this is actually a pretty good episode, a pretty good introduction to Paige as well. Season 2, episode 3 is one of my favorite episodes of the show, just because I like the moment at the end. Okay, it was really, really sweet. It's one of the reasons why I actually don't mind, Sheldon and Mary's dynamic. And I know Mary does view Sheldon as the favorite, and I'm pretty sure that every parent has a favorite. And until the later seasons, it's not really apparent that Sheldon is the favorite, to be honest, in my opinion. I mean, sometimes it is, but to be honest, it just never really bothered me. But in a way, you can kind of see why Mary views Sheldon as her favorite in this episode. And the rest of the episode's good too. I like this episode about Mary and her ideology is challenged. It's one of the very few episodes that Mary drinks. It's fun seeing Mary like actually unusual, not going to church and stuff, and Sheldon being really freaked out about that kind of, and the dad kind of have to take care of everyone. Okay, yeah, I love the stuff that Mary does. She tries to act extra religious, which is always fun to see her doing the grace thing before Missy eats breakfast. That was fun. Again, the song that plays is pretty fun, and just seeing Mary go all out on her religious activities, and she starts the Bible study in this episode, which does carry on into later episodes. So that's cool. Yeah, this is just one of my favorite episodes, man. It's just a good one. Okay, it reminds me of Big Bang Theory season 7 when Mary was telling Sheldon about that she's struggling with religion these days. You know when Sheldon caught her doing the deed, stuff. It kind of reminds me of that episode. But here we go all out, and because Mary's the main character in this show, it's good to explore it here. Tam's house is weird. Anyway, in season 2, episode 4, Sheldon goes to Tam's house for a sleepover. That's not the only thing that happens, but it's not wrong. Whatever, that's not the main part of the episode. The reason why he goes there is because he's trying to avoid Mary, because George wants him to keep a secret from Mary. And my favorite scene about this episode is definitely Mary just kind of letting everyone have it. Wait, what? She's just getting angry at everyone at the end. Mima, Georgie, and Sheldon. Mima, Georgie, and George, and them all have to go over to Mima's house. And yeah, and then Mima, of course, ratting George out, and then after that was pretty fun. And Missy literally liking everything about that, and Sheldon hiding in that little cabinet right there. That was fun. Yeah, I thought Mima would kind of worry more about Sheldon's well-being and stuff, and him kind of spinning the secret around Mary and stuff, and but she's not really worried, to be honest. Doesn't even sound like she cares about Sheldon's well-being at all. Whatever, this episode's pretty funny and stuff, and it's just another good episode. Is that 4 really good episodes in a row? This season's good, man. Yeah, that's great. I also like this part where Sheldon tells George about how he's disappointed in him, kind of. That was a very heartfelt scene and everything, and they did it really well. And how he actually kind of just looked up to George as a role model, and that he couldn't really do that anymore. That was fun. It was a good scene. In season 2, episode 5, Dr. Sturgis approaches the parents and says that, "Oh my god, well, my college is having a study on kids." Well, no, not just regular kids, but like twins. Twins. Wow, they're really something, all right. They're not regular human beings, they're aliens. I like the conversation where Mary and George have that. Mary says, like, "I'm not the kind of person who wants to make money off of our children," and George is like, "Yeah, that's where you and me are really different." I just like to imagine George being in the regular world, but he has a YouTube channel where he's exploiting his kids. Because that's what people do nowadays. They use their kids to make money and do clickbait and all that. And I just couldn't not imagine George doing that. Because nowadays people make bucketloads of money off of their children. This is the episode that really does show off how different the twins actually are. Missy was really struggling with all the mathematical questions and stuff, and Sheldon was really thriving at those. When they got to the ones that were more about like feelings and stuff, she was great at that. I love seeing her actually Missy in this episode just kind of like connect all of the stories together in kind of way. It's kind of cool, and Jen Sheldon's just really struggling with it. Yeah, Sheldon just doesn't like when he's proven wrong or anything like that. Blah 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 blah. And Missy's relationship with, was it Sandra? Oh, who is that woman? Anyway, she sets up her with Sheldon's doctor, and I don't know. That was actually kind of nice. I do like also at the end when Missy wants to try to get like half of what George is making, and he just says that they're getting like $14 or something like that, and Missy falls for it. Yeah, she isn't that smart. Also, it's kind of sad seeing as Missy kind of feels left out in the family, and Mary kind of feels bad for her. That was a kind of a good part. Also, it's kind of fun to see the parents' reactions to everything and all that. Okay, so season 2, episode 6 is a Halloween special. But I mean, it is Halloween, but it's not really a special episode, to be honest. So the main plot involves Mary and her trying to do like a haunted house kind of thing for the church, and then Mr. Gene Lundy takes it over, and he's from season one, and he's actually pretty good in this episode. I think this is my favorite episode with him in it, kind of taking over Mary's haunted house, and I love how absolutely angry she gets, and the adult Sheldon says that she went home to cook up like a stew, and Sheldon ate it because she was in a mood. It also ties into Georgie's plot when he has like a date, Veronica, which kicks off a whole storyline that we'll get into later on in the season. But whatever, she goes and I guess goes to Mary in the haunted house thing to forgive something about sins. I forget what it was. It was pretty alarming that Fraser Director didn't care about any of the people trying to forgive or their sins or whatever. He was just caring about the donations and stuff and whatever he thought of it as a success. Whatever. There was also technically a third plot with Missy, Sheldon, Tam, and Billy going trick or treating, and it was a bit weird. Like, why would Missy go trick or treating with her friends? Wouldn't that be a better idea? Seriously, Sheldon invited more friends trick or treating than his sister. If that's not weird, then I don't know what is. Season 2, episode 7 is another episode with Paige. Sheldon and his dad go to this lecture, I don't know, carbon dating lecture. I don't know. And then George goes to lunch and he meets Paige's parents. Yeah. I love that was really funny how he was just trying to ignore them and try to watch the game, but they were just rambling on about how they're going to get divorced. By this episode, it's really, we all know that they're going to get divorced at some point, and they do. This episode really focuses on it, and the parents are kind of complaining about their marriage and saying that they haven't been happy in a really long time, and Paige even saying that she thinks they're going to get divorced and stuff. And Sheldon be's a bad boy and sneaks into one of those things with dinosaurs in them. What is up with me today? I don't remember things. A showcase, whatever. They stay in there for a while, and for some reason they don't get caught until probably like half an hour later or something. I thought it was nice just seeing Sheldon and Paige kind of talk, and this is second page. This is the second episode with her. In the first episode, they didn't really get on the last time we saw them. I mean, Paige was fine, but Sheldon, he was going mentally. He was flipping the chessboard all over the place. So it's nice having a hard conversation just alone. It was nice. The art cell plot was pretty funny. To be honest, it was cool. It had a lot of stuff. Mary, saying how Mima was kind of like throwing away all of her husband's things and stuff like that, and then she doesn't really worry about it until she sees John wearing her old dead husband's coat. Yeah, must have been rough. Again, John is usually Dr. Sturgis, his delight to see. I like all the stuff in this episode, like Missy and Billy's interactions, and Mima and Georgie kind of haggling. So that was a pretty good episode. I do rather the plot with Paige, but this was still a pretty good one. Okay, so season 2, episode 8. This is the one where Georgie starts working in Herschel's tire repairing shop or whatever tire shop, and of course we know we see in Big Bang Theory that Georgie becomes Dr. Tire. He owns a big tire company and all that, and this is actually where we start the I guess that kind of storyline. It feels like they're going to start a storyline, but it doesn't really evolve into really anything. It just kind of exists in this episode, and Georgie's never seen working there again. That is great. Useless. Absolutely useless. So yeah, and Georgie doesn't have much time for football then, and then they get into a big fight and blah 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 blah. I really wish we saw this plot line again. Okay, we've just been good. Whatever. The other plot is actually a pretty good one as well. Sheldon and Mima play a video game and all that, and this is where Sheldon gets his love for video games. So we see both Georgie and Sheldon take on something new that actually plays into their character traits. Sheldon takes on playing video games, and Georgie takes on repairing tires. And yeah, and they both have arguments with someone older than them. Sheldon has arguments with Mima, and Georgie has arguments with George. Whatever. It's really fun to see Sheldon and Mima play video games and stuff. Also, none of these, both these plot lines do not appear barely ever again. To be honest, I mean, Sheldon isn't really seen playing video games again in the series, and it's just kind of weird. I mean, yeah, I mean, I guess in this show he has to go out of his way to play video games, have to go over to Mima's house, and I guess he don't really have that much opportunities to do that kind of stuff. And in the Big Bang Theory, characters are just seen playing video games just casually around the house and that kind of stuff. Um, but not in this show. I also do like the ending where Georgie was seen with the tires, kind of like feeling them, and that's how he figured out how the holes work. That was really weird and stuff. Whatever. This is a pretty good episode. It's not as good as some of the other ones in the season, to be honest. Probably one of the lesser ones so far. But season 2 is a pretty good season because seriously, all of these episodes have been pretty good so far. Also, Mima literally like takes Sheldon like out of school and all that, and like I feel like the parents would eventually find out about that, right? I mean, wouldn't they? Well, like George works at the school, whatever. They never find out in the episode, but who knows? Mima might be getting into some trouble. But seriously, man, like Sheldon's the only person in the world to complain about taking out of school to be playing video games. Just like seriously, that is my dream. Season 2, episode 9 is the Thanksgiving episode. 3 episodes ago was the Halloween one, but then we have Thanksgiving, yay! Before you ask, there's not yet a Christmas episode of Young Sheldon, and I don't think there will ever be one. For some reason, there isn't one. I really want there to be like some the Cooper family celebrating Christmas. That would be a cool episode. If we wish to put it into season 2, but no, they didn't. Bitches. I do like the scene where everyone is going around talking about what they're thankful for. You know, Georgie brings up his job at the tire workshop, and like yeah, I was just saying this does not come up much at all in the series. It does come up 3 times, all of them in season 2. The last episode, of course, the one where we guess the job. The only one where we actually see the tire shop itself. This episode and the season 2 finale. So the actual plot is George gets a coaching job at a university off in Oklahoma. And yeah, his mother and Mary doesn't want to move away from the house and move away from her mom and stuff, and it causes a big family fight. It was cool to see Dr. Sturgis. I like this talk that Dr. Sturgis and Sheldon have when Sheldon's just sitting outside. I thought that was kind of a heart-to-heart conversation. It was kind of cool. Also, George buys a Fiero for some reason. I don't know, but just because he's angry. This was a cool episode. Okay, I do like kind of drama like this, and it kind of reminds me of season 5. To be honest, at this point of this show, of course, we've gotten recently. There's a lot of fighting like this, but just on a bigger kind of scale. You know, the parents are kind of falling apart emotionally in the series at this point, so it's kind of weird to look back here and see them also fighting about this kind of stuff. I do like the ending as well, where George doesn't actually take the job, and you know he made a sacrifice for his family and all that, and it was kind of heartbreaking. Also, I want to see where the conversation went after it cut away from him at Oklahoma, because like the guy thought like it was obvious that George was going to take the job. He said that his family was perfect with it, so what excuse would he have made up? He's just like it's too long of a drive. No, that's not. No. He has he's gonna get a house literally near the school. What excuse could he have made up? Also, like Dr. Sturgis, and he kind of talks a little bit of backstory and how it was like before the show started, and how he's kind of lonely, and his parents weren't really the best people and stuff. It was just kind of interesting to hear about that. Whatever. This episode is actually pretty good. It's definitely one of my favorite episodes of the show. It's weird how Sheldon was like not really freaked out about moving at first. Like he was kind of trying to bury his emotions down. Like, come on, man, it's a new house. Isn't Sheldon supposed to be annoyed about change and all that? Shouldn't he obviously know why he doesn't like this stuff? Whatever, it's fine. Also, I do kind of like just Sheldon trying to do this test subjects thing. Oh my god, that was fun. Me, not trying to come up with words to say how heartbroken she was. That was also fun. Season 2, episode 10 is a pretty funny episode. We see Sheldon actually start using the word bazinga, so that's a big Big Bang Theory Easter egg reference. Yeah, reference. That's it. We do not hear the word bazinga really that much later on in the Big Bang Theory, or much in Young Sheldon actually. Just this episode, and in a few others. But yeah, it was fun to see Paige again, her hanging out with Missy, which kind of becomes a running theme of them actually kind of hanging out, them more being friends, and then Paige and Sheldon are kind of, kind of friends in a way. I don't know when they became friends though, because they haven't really shared any screen time before this episode. But it's fine. It's fine. This is also the last time we see Paige in season 2. Okay, the next time we see her is in season 3, episode 12. That is like 24 episodes away. But yeah, it's funny having Sheldon kind of prank everyone he knows and stuff like Billy, Mima, George, and Georgie, and all those people. So it was kind of weird how Sheldon just decides to just kind of act less act like this and just randomly because Paige suggested it and it was in the magazine. Like really, does that really feel like Sheldon? I feel like there should be more of a reason for him to do this, but. It was a fun episode anyway, and I like how he tricked Missy as well. That was fun. Also, Mima teaches Dr. Sturgis how to drive, and it's fun. They share the "I love you" in this episode for the first time. Oh wow, relationship goals. Am I right? It's fun seeing Dr. Sturgis freak out at the red light and all that, and it's kind of parallel to Sheldon and him not being very good at driving in The Big Bang Theory, and when he was describing his driving experience to Sheldon, he kind of got freaked out. So. Just another reason for Sheldon not to like driving. This episode was pretty good, but sometimes it's a little bit forgettable. I sometimes forget that this plot happens. Overall, these two plots are pretty solid. I couldn't actually pick a favorite though. I just can't. Okay, you know what I mean? Season 2, episode 11. This is one of my favorite episodes of the season. Of course, we have Veronica here again, and this is the first episode where she's like really religious and all that, and first episode where Georgie really tries to pursue a relationship with her. I mean, he was kind of trying to do that in season 2, episode 6, but it kind of Georgie, Veronica, kind of felt like a different character in that episode and stuff. This is the more modern Veronica. The hairstyle and all that, and just the clothes she's wearing. It's all different, okay. And yeah, it was just hilarious seeing Georgie in church just trying to sing along to the tune, and his prayers being so much different than Veronica and Mary's prayers, and him literally getting baptized just to kiss a girl. Yeah, that was just hilarious. But let me just say, can we just say this thing? There's a few little plot holes I have in this episode. Like, why didn't Mary stop Georgie from getting baptized? Okay, why didn't she just not allow him to do it? And actually, no. Think about it. Why isn't Georgie already baptized? Isn't Mary really religious? Like, wouldn't she have Georgie baptized like when he was a baby? If not, maybe after that, because we do see a possible reason for why Raider is really religious, which starts off when Sheldon and Missy are born. So why didn't he get baptized around like 5 or 6? Why is he not baptized yet? This makes no sense. I mean, I was baptized back when I was younger. Is it just the Baptist religion is different? I don't know, and it's a bit confusing to me. And why was there only 2 people getting baptized? That's also a little bit strange. But whatever, it doesn't. I guess they just used it for plot and all that. Maybe they should have done something different. Isn't there something other than baptism you can do in the Baptist church? I don't know, to be honest. But it does make sense why Veronica would be baptized, because her family isn't really that religious or anything, as far as I know. Also, the second plot where Sheldon and Missy, yeah, that was pretty funny as well, and I like all the 2 moments synced up when Missy punched Sheldon and Veronica punched Georgie. I like how they were playing that together. That was really funny, and then I had to give a talking to them and both of them had pink eyes. Well, no, not pink eyes, black eyes. Why are they called black eyes? The eyes aren't black; they're like purple. That's pretty funny. I do rather the Georgie plot, even though it does have a bunch of plot holes. I just can't really enjoy it. Especially when he showed up at the Bible group, that was really funny. So yeah, guys, this is a pretty funny episode. Season 2, episode 12 was actually a pretty enjoyable one. Not one of my favorite ones for the season. Was still pretty funny when Sheldon, I guess wasn't the most funny of the series, but whatever. Sheldon gets a stomach ache in school, and we see Nurse Nora, her only appearance in the show. And there's actually a few other characters that barely appear in the show, or not appear in the show at all from this point onwards, that have appearances in this episode. I like the flashback to see all Nurse Nora and Sheldon having a kind of like this relationship going on. Yeah. Yeah, I hate to be Nurse Nora because they probably spend a lot of time together. Sheldon probably spends more time there than he does in class. But this time it turns out to actually be serious, and he has to get his gallbladder removed and all that. And I actually liked George freaking out because seriously, man, he thought there was nothing wrong with Sheldon and all that. I couldn't really blame him, to be honest. Also, like when Sheldon was getting annoyed at Dad when they were driving home, and Sheldon was like resting on his lap. That's pretty funny as well. There's a bunch of characters that never really appeared again. The Nurse Nora, the Nurse Robinson, I don't think appears again. She's the same actor that played one of those doctors in The Big Bang Theory as well. Like this first episode and the very first scene, and in season 4, episode 1, when Howard got his thing stuck in the robot hand. And there's the doctor that never appeared again, and the kid, Randy, was that his name? I don't know. Yeah, he never appears again. And this episode kind of keeps changing its focus. It was first just Sheldon kind of feeling a bit sick, then he had to go to hospital, and that all thing happened. Then he was just resting in his room alone, and he was ignoring all those doctors and stuff. And then that was going on until he really wanted to go home, but they never didn't really allow him to do that. I don't know why he wanted to go home so much though. Like, just bro, you have everything here. Your family were so nice to you. Oh yeah, by the way, I love the dream sequence as well. That's pretty funny. And then the episode decides to focus on Sheldon and this kid having kind of like a friendship going on. That was pretty funny, for fun as well, and how the kid was going to have his heart removed and all that. That was kind of cool, and how Sheldon kind of acted nice at the end of the episode. Yeah, and that way, this episode kind of reminds me of the pilot, because the pilot episode of the show kind of kept switching its focus. But at least this episode kind of still kind of had a focus of Sheldon getting sick and having to go to the hospital and all that. The pilot kind of was all over the place. But yeah, I don't really mind that this episode doesn't have any focus. It kind of switches between all these stories, because it still kind of has the main focus of, yeah, as I said, Sheldon go to the hospital, so it's kind of fine and all that, and it keeps the episode entertaining. Okay, so season 2, episode 13. The main plot where Sheldon's trying to build like a nuclear reactor. Is that what it is? Yeah. I mean, I like the introduction with the interaction with Sheldon and George, but other than that, this is one of the most forgettable plots, to be honest. It just kind of feels like it blends in too much with the rest of the season. Not really that memorable. And yeah, I mean, after he builds nuclear reactors, now, I mean, after he gets the parts, there's not really much of the plot left. There's not really that much time left, so just to get in trouble, you don't even see that on the screen. So yeah, not really the best plot. But it was really funny when Sheldon walked past Georgie and saw him kind of freaked out and kind of sad, and Sheldon just thought he was hungry. Classic Sheldon. The reason why Georgie was upset was because Veronica has a boyfriend. And personally, I don't really think Veronica should have a boyfriend. I mean, isn't she supposed to be trying to be devoted to God or something? Her boyfriend even ends up being like a jerk, so... Yeah, I really don't understand why she has a boyfriend. Couldn't they just have it like just Veronica doesn't want to be in a relationship at all? Wouldn't that make a lot more sense? Because I don't know really why she doesn't even consider George. I mean, they kind of get along a bit, so why doesn't she consider it? Yeah, it's a bit weird. I think it would benefit the story a lot more if Veronica just didn't want to have a boyfriend at all. Also, Mima and Dr. Sturgis have their own plot in this episode as well. So a third plot to add on to the madness, and this plot includes the first appearance of Dr. Linkletter, who will become a more common character later on, but now he's just kind of supposed to be like a kind of a friend of Sturgis's. But to be honest, I don't really know why Dr. Linkletter became friends with Dr. Sturgis. Really, I don't really feel like they've ever gotten along. And in future episodes, it feels like they've been rivals for years, but only the rivalry only kind of started here. I feel like in this episode. Whatever, it's still a fun plot though. I think I like that how Dr. Sturgis and Linkletter fighting in this episode, and it was kind of fun to see that plot line and setting up this character. But yeah, whatever. It's just a little weird when you consider the later episodes. I thought the season 2 episode 14 was actually pretty good. Georgie is kind of getting picked on, and Sheldon, acts like a complete jerk. I feel like this show does kind of miss out in some ways on a lot of character opportunities for Sheldon and Georgie. I feel like they should have a lot more dynamic, and yeah, they don't have the best dynamic here, but I feel like that's great. How they're not really on the best of ends here. They are fighting. Veronica's mentioned in this episode, but she hasn't really seen her boyfriend is seen, but it's a different boyfriend. And the next episode is revealed that she broke up with the boyfriend she had in the previous episode before this one. That's a bit confusing, I know. I do like when George just comes in and tries to solve the whole situation between Sheldon and Georgie, but just he doesn't. He later brags about it to Mary later on, but he didn't even do anything. Sheldon even ends up becoming friends with a bully, and then gets really cocky and picks fight, tries to become friends with a bigger bully, but just gets the two bullies into a big fight with each other. But like how Sheldon tries to help out his friend, the bully friend who never appears again in the series, by the way. He tries to help him out by kind of acting like David in the David and Goliath story from the Bible, where he like picks up a stone and like flings it at the bully. He gets really mad. I personally think it would be really funny if he just didn't even get hurt at all, and he just. I think that would be really funny. Like the Rock didn't even do anything. Whatever, the guy gets really mad, and Sheldon just runs and basically makes the whole situation worse. And also, Missy wears Mima's makeup. Yeah, that's a thing. And this is actually pretty interesting as well, as we see kind of a reason why Mary is so religious. But in my opinion, I think that this is wrong. I think that Mima is making this whole shit up. Okay, because there's a few plot holes, and personally, I don't really see why this is the thing. Apparently, Mary and Missy was not going to make it past like the first few days of her life or something. So Mary prayed to God that if Missy survived, then she'd become a full heart Christian. But if that happens, then like why doesn't Mary even like Missy a lot more? Like she's like, how is Sheldon her favorite child when literally Missy was nearly gonna die, and she's the reason why she believes in God so much? Mary should respect Missy a lot more and stop, but mistreating her compared to Sheldon. There are a lot more haters of Mary and how she picks favorites, okay? And to be honest, it's kind of hard sometimes not to pick favorites, and I don't feel like it's as obvious as people are making it out to be. But yeah, personally, I think this isn't right. Maybe that's the reason why Mima didn't tell Mary that what she told Missy, because it's not actually true, and because in the Big Bang Theory, it was revealed that when Mary was pregnant with Sheldon, she was praying to God, and that's why Sheldon was smart or something like that. Well, maybe she wasn't really super religious before Missy was born, but she still prayed on and off. But whatever, I just don't think that story was true. Okay. Oh no, Sheldon gets a 95% on his test. Oh wow, that's what happens in season 2, episode 15. Yeah, well, Dr. Sheldon have a little bit of a falling out in this episode, and it could be better, but I don't know. It kind of feels like it's a bit weird how Dr. Sheldon just gets really mad at Sheldon. It's kind of no really big deal in my opinion, but whatever, it's here, I guess. Yeah, this episode isn't the best. Probably one of the weaker sides of season 2. Just don't really understand why Sheldon and Dr. Sturgis really get mad at each other. Well, of course, Sheldon is mad because he got 95%, blah 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 blah. And just think Sheldon's the one person in all of history to skip class to do math. Also, George just doesn't care that Sheldon isn't in class. Okay. Also, Mary takes over for Pastor Jeff, so that's great. This episode actually has there's two plot lines in this episode. I'm actually both redone again in the show, and are both done way better in those episodes, in my opinion. Although it might seem fun seeing Mary run everything around here, there's not really much tension. She doesn't really have any problems with it. She just kind of does everything perfectly until she goes to Mr. Guilford's house, I guess. Also, it was pretty convenient that he died literally around where the episode was focusing on him. Really, very convenient. Whatever, yeah, this was definitely one of the weaker ones of season 2. So season 2, episode 16 is one of my favorite ones of the season. It's where Sheldon and his whole family get accused of being communists. This is a great episode. I think the second half of this episode is actually just hilarious about everyone freaking out about everything, and Mima singing the America the song in front of her Forever House. That was funny. Let's keep cutting to that. They're all freaking out and stuff, and yeah, the Sparkses are not very happy about that either because they're never happy with anything. Sheldon even gets interviewed by a Channel 7. Yeah, uh, that's great. I've always got confused about how Mimo was never more freaked out before the channel came on because she starts freaking out after she sees that, but she was there for the interview. Why was she not freaking out when she got home? Yeah, but typically Sheldon gets upset for a piece of bread and he does his experiments on it and stuff, and it's typical Sheldon. I do like the free joke that George actually kind of thinks that Sheldon's a bit right with the bread when he tastes it. I thought that was kind of funny how George kind of has a bit of Sheldon's weird in a way. In a way, he kind of inherits that from his father, but of course George is you know isn't concerned about that nearly as much as Sheldon. But I do like the joke at the end where everyone's kind of ignoring Sheldon. But then again, I kind of just the clock just kind of ends in a way. They just kind of sort out on the news and all that, and I kind of feels like it's lazy. Also, Veronica's in this episode, which is cool. She kind of hangs out with Georgie, and it feels like something's going to happen between them in this episode. But I mean, like if you've seen past this season, then you might get disappointed. Also, Brenda talks to Mary like Sheldon and Billy are friends, but they're not really friends. They don't really play with each other, really, do they? I mean, sure, they see each other in public a lot because they're neighbors, but whatever. They're not really friends, I guess. Well, actually, earlier in the season, they did go trick or treating together and kind of play D&D, but I really don't think Sheldon spends that much time with Billy. So, season 2, episode 17. Skip 10 seconds ahead of the video if you've not seen season 5. Spoilers in 3, 2, 1. Yeah, I know what happens in season 5. Georgia gets pregnant with a girl. Okay, and it's kind of weird looking back at this episode. Just kind of weird seeing what happens in season 5. Kind of weird seeing that Mary's actually the one that gets pregnant here. It's weird. But whatever, this episode kind of explores the pregnancy plotline. In a way, I should have gone a little bit further from this, just explaining what the kids would think about it. But we didn't really need that. I think it was actually kind of funny how George was kind of freaking out about it, and he was asking for a raise and all that. And I thought it was actually kind of a sweet scene when he went when they lost the baby and he had to tell his boss about that, and I felt bad for him, man. I felt bad. I know George is always freaking out about the money, but it's not always about the money. Okay, he just worries about that just a little bit too much. And I thought it was actually hilarious seeing Mary go to actually get the pregnancy test. I thought that was pretty hilarious and stuff. And Brenda was there, and Mary and Billy as well, and they were trying to play hide and seek. It was weird. Yeah, and how actually Mima says that she's getting the pregnancy test, and that's weird. And I haven't even begun and getting into the second plot line, which is Sheldon learning a violin. Whatever. But I think this is the episode where Mima just laughs like out loud multiple times. Is that the one where he wears something on his head? I think I feel like I said this about another episode where Mima was talking. I don't think so. I feel like this is the one where she laughed out loud hysterically because Sheldon was wearing like a yarmulke on her head or something. And then this person on the phone said that he should be his own man and stuff, and yeah, and he comes in right after Mary tells George that they lost the baby. He told him that he's gonna stop learning the violin and stop being like Albert Einstein. But yeah, the violin it is kind of annoying, a little bit too annoying. He's not very good at playing the violin. I don't understand why Missy and Georgie weren't even listening to that. Like come on, man. And apparently Sheldon's violin made the chickens and the Sparks coop like lay eggs more. What? Whatever. Whatever. Yeah, we know Mary's not actually gonna keep the baby. That would be a pretty big thing to put on the show. I don't know if they do this early on in the show, but whatever. We obviously know that she's not gonna be able to keep the baby or unless she lose it, which she does. Whatever, not really much tension. This could have been a better episode, definitely. Season 2, episode 18 is another episode where Sheldon has to go to college, blah, 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 blah. Another episode where we explore the possibility of Sheldon going to college. Well, shut up, meme machine. I thought it was actually kind of sad how no one wanted to spend time with Mary at all. I mean, it's just kind of sad. Yeah, she missed Sheldon, blah, 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 blah. And this episode kind of went overboard on it, though, where I mean, it was kind of weird and creepy how she just wasn't able to let her son grow up. I mean, it was just so weird. She never will and had as big as a problem as this. Okay, I know in season 1 up to 10 it was kind of she was kind of crying a lot as well, but that was when Sheldon was younger. Now he's like a few years older. I feel like it's a lot better. She goes absolutely crazy, man. Like she's so weird. And despite Sheldon didn't even spend that much time with Mary, that like the Sheldon and Mary spend all their day together. No, it seems a little bit weird. But yeah, Sturgis is not ready to take in Sheldon at all. No, 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 no. His environment is not very safe. Yeah, nothing really else to talk about in this episode. It's pretty average one, to be honest. Season 2, episode 19, Sheldon runs for president. I thought that was actually pretty funny. This episode's one of my favorite ones. It's just the classic Season 2 episode. Dr. Charger says sorry about getting struck by lightning, though. What was up with that? Whatever. In the end, I guess Sheldon does end up just exposing his opponent, but whatever. Yeah, the Yankees deserved it. And there's also a few other cameos as well. Like, just nice, okay? I like how Misty was actually able to get all the evidence and stuff for Sheldon and stuff. That was kind of cool. That's the sibling power. It's in Missy's personality to do that because she's very, very social, as we found out in episode 5 of the season. And the way is that Sheldon gets everyone to vote for him is actually is really funny, and of course he wants to get better science equipment and all that. So it's another thing that's not really explored in any of the rest of the series except for the season finale of this season. Well, come on, season 2. And George plays a similar role as he did in season 2, episode 16, just being enrolled at Sheldon, at everything that he's doing. And Veronica's there to calm down, girl power. It was still cool, Sheldon becoming president, and the ending scene, pretty good as well. Still don't understand how he became president, though. Season 2, episode 20, Veronica stays at the Cooper's house, and of course, Georgie goes nuts trying to goes nuts. What am I doing in my life? Georgie goes crazy, can't he? Clean up her Zoom and all that, and I actually just love that George was actually just documenting the whole thing. It might never happen again. No, it will never happen again. And just George would be so excited for Veronica to come over and showing her around the house and all that. I mean, that would be cool. If we hadn't already seen all around the house, that would be pretty cool to see all the unknown rooms, but we already know all the rooms. Come on, come on. It's not a big house. One of my favorite scenes actually in the whole show is actually just Veronica and Missy spending time together. I mean, it's just the fun pairing, okay, and how they kind of want to switch their lives and all that. And Veronica talking about how being a grown up isn't really that fun. Even though she's not really a grown up, he actually kind of feels like a grown up. And when Clint comes over, and I thought his name was Quint for the longest time. Clint comes over, and yeah, I would like to see George knock him out, but you don't. No violence, bro. No violence with the shot. I'd love to see that, but unfortunately we do not. And it was cool. It's just cool to see this episode. And Georgie, standing up for Veronica and everything. And it's cool to see just Veronica spending time with the Coopers and all that. It's always great to see. And Veronica is actually falling in love with Georgie. What insane! This is the last Veronica episode of the season, so yeah, pretty big development. Will it develop in season 3? Who knows? Like a lot of other episodes, this episode just kind of end. Like, what even happens with Veronica? When did she go home? Like what happens? Like, what happened to Clint? Okay, I want to know. We never see this character again. Oh, but yeah, overall, this is actually a really good episode, and yeah, one of my favorites of the season. Okay, just a great ending where George knocked out Clint. Okay, what a great ending. Season 2, episode 21, where Pastor Jeff stays over at the Cooper's house, and we see interactions with Pastor Jeff and the Coopers. Sounds familiar. Yeah, and this is like literally similar to the last episode where another kind of side character stayed over at the Cooper house. Okay, another one of these stories. I guess this episode is more like tied into the main story of the show, although the Veronica and Georgie kind of story arc was a big part of the season. I feel like the Pastor Jeff story in this episode was more kind of tied to the whole series, and it kind of affects the rest of the series in a way. Well, not the rest of the series, but a good few episodes of plots are like kind of get changed from this episode because Pastor Jeff's wife leaves him and everything and that, and I think it was a sign that was the reason God sent Pastor Jeff home was because his wife left him, but Pastor Jeff just kind of sighs and just like, oh, why is this happening? But then when he meets the new girl, he's like, oh yeah, praise the Lord. God sent you home so you could find out that your wife left you. To read the signs. And okay, I lied. He basically only interacts with Georgie, Mary, and George, and he mainly interacts with Mary in the show anyway. So yeah, Georgie and Mr. Archer Jeff kind of have like this kind of friendship going on. That's kind of cool. And Pastor Jeff and Pastor Jeff and George also kind of have a man talk and everything. You think George would put on one of those inspirational speeches and all that, but no. The next day, Pastor Jeff just doesn't even come out of his room for hours, praying and crying. That's basically all he's doing. There is also other things going on in this episode. Oh god. Yeah, I forgot to mention in the last episode that Doctor Sturgis and it proposed to me. Yeah, I'm sorry, guys. I forgot to mention it. But yeah, yeah. But then in this episode, they go gambling, and Sturgis gets sad and all that. It was just kind of weird. Are the couple gonna break up? Who knows? Oh my god. You all know the answer. Also, apparently, Sheldon and Missy were trying to do stuff for the church, and they got mad that they weren't credited for doing that. But like, how was Pastor Jeff supposed to know that they were doing all the work inside? He praised Jesus because he thought it was a coincidence that loads of people signed up that day. Whatever. He thought it was a coincidence that people donated a lot more than usual, but in reality, it was Sheldon and Missy, asking those people to donate more money. But like, how was Pastor Jeff supposed to know that? Okay. Also, it's kind of funny to see Sheldon and Peg interact. Anyway, yeah, this episode's good. Okay, all three plots are pretty good. Well, the meme on Dr. Sturgis plot, they just kind of go gambling, and that kind of just feels like it. So 2 out of the 3 plots are good. Okay, so the season 2 finale. I have a lot to talk about this episode. Let's get it done quick because yeah. Also, I'm sorry for this video coming out so late. The footage I used for the finale part of this video got copyright claimed, so I'm gonna have to redo all of this part. It's annoying. I'm really sorry, guys. But yeah, I clicked on this on as part of the video to like get the screenshot for this, and the first thing I heard is channels. It was just so stupid. It was so stupid, man. No man, the characters in this show, their accents just 10 stars. So this is I guess the worst plot out of the bunch, I guess, in a way. But it's not terrible, but it doesn't really it doesn't really impact you that much. I mean, like, the question I have is that does Georgie actually let the rest of the family watch cable? Because that's my question, to be honest. No, I think we don't actually get an answer for that, and it kind of makes me depressed because I want to know that. Season 6, episode 1. We really need that episode. Okay, actually, I had a dream last night that I watched season 6, episode 1. I'm pretty sure that was a dream. Dreams are really weird in my opinion. Like, seriously. I think I had it last night, but as well, I don't. I also don't think I had it last. I feel like it was like a few days ago as well, but I don't. It's weird. Okay. They actually bring up Georgie's job at Herschel's tire crap store. So that's the thing. Yeah, I mean they bring it up. I mean, the last time they ever bring it up, I mean Georgie literally gets a job in the next season, and he doesn't even bring up his previous one. Like, what the hell, man? So they bring it up in season 2, episode 8, 9, and 22. So yeah, that's cool. So yeah, this is obviously the worst plot out of the 3 ones because like the other few were actually pretty good, and they impact the story. Okay, you know what I mean. And one of them has some pretty good fan service. Yeah, next up we have to talk about the Dr. Sturgis plot, which really does kind of be really focused on in the second half of this episode. We kind of drop the Sheldon plot, and it's just kind of this one and a little bit of the Georgie and George plot where they get bloody cable. I actually like Dr. Sturgis acting crazy, especially when he was picking up that goose grass. That was hilarious. We also see Dr. Linkletter back here again in the last episode. I mean, he was kind of hitting on Connie, but he also being like a little bit friendly. But now, I mean, Dr. Sturgis was kind of going a little bit crazy, and he was still using the excuse to kind of hit on Connie. I mean, yeah, great, Dr. Linkletter. Wow, what a bitch. Literally every single one of his early episodes is just him trying to get into a relationship with Connie. Whenever Dr. Sturgis goes crazy, it's pretty funny, and of course Mima has to share her experiences with Mary, and yeah, we see the writing he does in the shower. How to make toast. Oh my god. Dr. Sturgis had a YouTube channel. Yeah, he would definitely make some pretty good toast videos. Yeah, guys, here's Dr. Sturgis. That's how to make toast. How to make toast, guys. Pretty simple. An important thing to note is that this episode came out the same day as the season 12 finale, so that's why there was so much talk about Nobel Prizes in it and everything. And of course, there's been some pretty good foreshadowing where Dr. Sturgis says that Sheldon will probably win a Nobel Prize someday, and I don't care, man. That's pretty cool. It's kind of sad that Dr. Sturgis just kind of realizing that he'll never really amount to anything, and yeah, I like the scene where Dr. Sheldon and Dr. Sturgis are talking, they're talking about who they think they should win and everything, and Dr. Sturgis is just like, some talented people don't get any credit, and it's just kind of sad in a way. I mean, even when Dr. Sturgis comes back from the mental hospital, I mean, he never we didn't really address this issue again, how he doesn't really end up contributing to anything, to be honest. It's kind of in a middle of crisis here. It's just, he's not middle-aged, he's old. And the final plot we're going to talk about is arguably the main plot of the episode. Yeah, so Sheldon wants this to throw a party for the Nobel Prize crap, and then literally invites the whole school over to his house. And of course, George doesn't even worry because it's a party at 5:00 in the morning for a Nobel Prize. Like, he was the only one to show up to the party. Like, Misty warned him, okay? Sheldon, your stupid sister warned you. Yeah, like he is the president in this episode. The class president. This is the only mention of it, except for the episode about it. So kind of like Georgie's job at the tire shop. This episode's pretty good for the continuity and stuff like that. It mentions those few things, that Sheldon being president and Georgie's job at the tire shop and stuff. Like, not even Tam showed up, man. It was so sad. Okay, yeah. Also, like the scene where Sheldon had to put like a thing on top of the roof, and George, of course, just told Georgie to do it. That was funny. I mean, Missy was pretty funny with this episode. Okay, especially when after that scene that I just talked about, she's like, yeah, good. You've no. I forget what she said. She said something snarky anyway. Yeah, and of course she kind of mocks Sheldon for thinking the whole school come over to his garage, basically. Well, I mean, he only set up like 20 chairs, but like, come on, Sheldon. Like, not even Tam showed up. It was so sad. He was talking to Tam like a few days earlier about what food he should get to the thing, and like, it's Tam. Like, he was talking like it was like, oh yeah, sure, I'll go, but he just didn't. But he probably wasn't actually allowed. So yeah, I mean, I don't think my parents will allow me to go to someone's house at 5:00 in the morning. Also, after the scene where Missy kind of tells Sheldon that was going to show up at the party, that plot just kind of disappears. I mean, we spent like 7 minutes of the episode like not even seeing Sheldon at all. That's a first for this show, man. And season 5, I'm just gonna say this: Sheldon barely completed that the main character in that season, but yeah, whatever. But still, Sheldon is kind of the main character of the episode. He kind of drives the main plot still. So the second half of this episode is mainly just Dr. Sturgis, and there's a few scenes like Missy seeing George looking at boobies on the TV. Oh yeah, that scene. And the final scene, okay, guys, I have to talk about this, okay? Sheldon crying and seeing all of his friends in there. I just love this, okay? It ties in with the season 12 finale a lot, because in that episode, Sheldon finally realizes how, special his friends are to him. And I'm nowhere near that point in the series in the Big Bang Theory timeline. I probably should be. I probably should be doing season 2 along with season 12 because they both came out the same year, but nope. But the reason I'm doing this way because I want to have season 5 retrospective before season 6 comes out, so I'm trying to do all of these this summer. Like, I love them, guys, so hope you're enjoying these videos. If you're not, then too bad. We see everyone. We see Leonard, Penny, Amy, Raj, Howard, and Bernadette. Like every single one of them, they're kids and everything. They could bring these actors back and have them, Sheldon, I don't know, meet like one of them. Maybe just like, and not really have a conversation, just like, I don't know, bump into them in like a hallway, like a convention or something. But I don't really want that to happen, and they're probably not going to do that anyway. Also, Sheldon's crying after the second time this season, boy. He cried in the season premiere, and he cried in the season finale. It's poetry, like, it rhymes. We have a great finale to the season, guys, and yeah, let's just not carry on. I just want to talk about the whole season as a whole. Man, that was a great season finale. Young Sheldon season 2 was actually one of the best seasons of the show. Although personally, I think the season 3 is a little bit better. Just a tease. But season 2 was some pretty good episodes, and although in my mind I don't view the middle of season 2 to be as good as like the beginning of the end, but still, the episodes there are not really that bad, and even the first few of season 2 really aren't that bad, and I can still enjoy them. Like episodes like episode 15 and 17, for example. Yeah, the beginning of the season, it starts out really good, man. Like the first 5 episodes were great. Absolute bangers. The laugh were great, and there's nothing really I can add to the show, but it was a lot better than season 1, because season 1 of the show just kind of felt a little bit dry in a few places. Like it did have some background music in a few areas, but a lot of scenes were kind of just quiet and stuff, and the audio really wasn't the best in season 1. I don't know why it was something about season 1, just it wasn't the best. Although I think I go a little bit hard in season 1 for a few times, because I've rewatched it a bit like a month ago, for the first time in like a year, and it's not that bad. But yeah, this is the best season of Young Sheldon that I covered so far, but that really isn't saying much, is it? Anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, smash that like button. So yeah, next week will be the next episode of whatever 10-year-old director, the Phantom Attack of the Clones. Sorry. Yeah, probably. It might be delayed a day because I am going on holiday, so it might be hard to work on it because I'll have to get it worked on straight away, and so I'll probably have like 5 days, 4 or 5 days, maybe. No, 4 days. I'll have 4 days from now to get it completely done, so it might have to be delayed like a day. I'm sorry about that. But then next week it will be another Big Bang Theory retrospective with season 5. So anyway, yeah, guys, bye.